Hello everyone, this is Shidesh Nadhar and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to talk about the main topic of the block 1 of MEG 1. As I discussed in my previous video on MEG 1 that this block contains some topics about the grammar and form of poetry. But still the main focus is on Chaucer and generally questions from this block come only from Chaucer. So our main focus will be on Chaucer. Now if I start telling you everything about Chaucer, there could be 8 to 10 parts of this topic only. But I will inform you only the basic information that you need to know to have a proper understanding of the age of Chaucer, the life of Chaucer, the literary works of Chaucer and his magnum opus the Canterbury Tales. This topic will be discussed in 3 parts. In the first part, I am going to talk about the age of Chaucer and the life of Chaucer. See, we can never understand a poet and his poetry without understanding the age he was living in. In the second part, I am going to talk about the main works in the life of Chaucer, and in the third part, I am going to discuss vividly the Canterbury Tales. And last but not the least, I will also share with you the suggestions following the previous year questions. To get all these videos, you need to subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you will be notified anytime I upload a video. So be prepared here. I am presenting plenty of information about Chaucer and his contemporary age, which will be helpful not only for IGNOU term end examination but also for UGC NET examination. Geoffrey Chaucer was born somewhere between 1340 to 1342 and he died in the year 1400. He is known as the father of English literature. As a writer, he was so much prominent that his contemporary age is known as the age of Chaucer. In this work, we shall discuss vividly about the life and works of Chaucer. But before that, we must have a look at the contemporary age. Chaucer in his lifetime saw the reign of 3 successive kings, Edward III, Richard II and Henry IV. The 14th century, which is largely considered to be the age of Chaucer, was affected by 3 main events: the 100 Years' War, Black Death and Peasants Revolt. The 100 Years' War. The 100 Years' War started from 1337 and continued till 1453 with the time span of 116 years. England and France engaged in this battle because of the land holdings that France had on England. After the Norman conquest of 1066 AD, England was being ruled by France. The later rulers of England demanded their free country, which would not be dominated by France. As France did not agree for this, both the countries engaged in the war. As England wanted to free itself from the French domination, a sense of patriotism developed all over England, due to which the English people refused to be attached with the French culture and the English culture was given more importance. Naturally, English language was given more prestige and value. This was the beginning of the popularization of English language after the Norman conquest. English people won the major battles in the war by using the long bow method, whereas the French were using the short bow method. Next important event in the age of Chaucer was the Black Death. The event of Black Death happened from 1347 to 1351. Black Death is actually a plague which is spread by rats. A person contracted with this plague died within a matter of days, usually in less than 5 days. Due to this plague, 1/3 of the population of Europe was wiped out within 5 years. Historically, Black Death was a very important incident because so many people got killed in it. The further result of Black Death was mainly in 2 spheres. Firstly, it is during the Black Death that people started to question the healing power of clergy and Christianity. Due to people asking questions on the healing power of Christianity, eventually the medical science developed. People could think and believe, overcoming their superstitions about the value of education. People understood that it is only through science that they could overcome the troubles caused by the Black Death. Next important incident is the Peasants Revolt. The Peasants Revolt of 1381 was led by Wat Taylor and John Bull. The condition leading to the lower classes to this revolt included the decreasing of population due to Black Death. At the same time, the peasants were paying heavy taxes to support the 100 Years' War, and they were very unhappy about it. Being fed up with the high amount of taxes and unfair treatment, they captured the Tower of London. Tower of London was a prominent place where all the kings and the rulers used to live. They were all captured by the revolting peasants, but at the end they were oppressed by the aristocrats and the royalty. So these were some important events which had a great impact in the age of Chaucer. First, the 100 Years' War between England and France. Second, the Black Death, which wiped out 1/3 of the population of Europe. And third, the Peasants Revolt. Though this revolt was unsuccessful and the peasants were oppressed by the aristocratic people, still it had a great impact in the mind of the people of that age and of course the society and the literature. Next we will discuss about the important writers of the age. See, though we call it the age of Chaucer, there were some other important writers of the age who had a great impact in English literature. Though Chaucer was the most prominent writer of that age, still we should know about some other writers. First, John Wycliffe. John Wycliffe was the greatest of the English religious reformers. He gave the gospel to the people in their own tongue and freedom of the gospel in unnumbered tracts and addresses. The second important writer is William Langland. William Langland voiced the social discontent, preached the equality of men and dignity of labor. He is mainly known for his work Pious Plowman. Third important writer is John Gower. Gower was the scholar and the literary man who was criticizing this vigorous life and plainly afraid of its consequences. Next writer is John Mandeville. John Mandeville, the traveller, was romancing about the wonders to be seen abroad. John Mandeville crossed the sea in the year 1322. He wrote the travelogue Travels of Sir John Mandeville. And last but not the least, above all there is Chaucer, who was a scholar, traveller and businessman, courtier, sharing in all the stirring life of his times and reflecting it in literature as no other as Shakespeare has ever done. Outside of England, the greatest literary influence of the age was that of Dante, Petrarch and Boccaccio, whose works profoundly affected the literature of all Europe. Now let's consider Chaucer's contribution to the English language. During this time, the English nationalist feeling was at its peak. Till now, French language was used everywhere as French domination was there, but during this time, French was replaced by English and it became the language of court in 1362, the language of parliament in 1363 and language of school in 1368. Till now, French language were used officially, but now gradually English is being used. Chaucer was the first poet who preferred English language over Latin and French. It was a fashion of the time that people used to write in Latin and French languages, but Chaucer refused to be attached to these languages for his poetry, and he made the East Midland dialect as the sole literary language of England for all ages to come. So the modern English we are using today emerged from the East Midland dialect, which was set up by Chaucer and was used in all his works. So before this, the language of England was divided into various dialects, and in official spheres French language was being used. But gradually, the nationalist emotion emerged in England, and the English language started to be used in various official spheres of life. And Chaucer chose the East Midland dialect among many other dialects as the sole literary language of England, and the modern English that we use today emerged from this dialect only. Another important thing is that Chaucer was the first one to introduce the rhyme royal form into English literature as a way of elevating the tone of his poems, and thus we find that he was the one who gave rhyme and rhythm to poetry in English. Apart from that, the themes in Chaucer's works mainly concerns with the characteristic portrayal of mankind and the different kind of people present during that time. He was not a moralist, but he was more of a satirist. He was a lover of mankind as well as a great observer of mankind. Now let's consider some important remarks about Chaucer. Matthew Arnold called Chaucer the father of our splendid English poetry. According to him, Chaucer was the founder of a new tradition. His superiority existed both in the substance of and in the styles of his poetry. For Arnold, Chaucer's major contribution towards poetry was his adherence to realism. He was a large, free, sound representation of things that had truth of substance. The poet Thomas Hockliffe, who may have met Chaucer and considered him as the role model, hailed Chaucer as first finder of our fair language, meaning that Chaucer was the first founder of the fair language English. John Lydgate referred to Chaucer within his own text, The Fall of Princes, as the lodester of our language. The lodester of our language. The phrase means the lord of our language. The lord of our language. Long called Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales as the prologue to the modern fiction. Its vivid characterization is one of the hallmarks of fiction. The Canterbury Tales in itself contains so many miniature novels in itself. Now, after discussing all these things, we will discuss about the life of Chaucer, means his biography. Chaucer was born in the family of a wine merchant, and it is assumed that his father used to sell wine to the royal family, and that is why he could establish the royal connection. Now, for our convenience, we divide the life of Chaucer into three periods. The first period is known as the French influence. This period is of 30 years and it includes his youth and early manhood, in which time he was influenced almost exclusively by French literary models. This was a period when he worked as a public servant to Countess Elizabeth of Aleister. He was captured for ransom. Due to Chaucer's royal connection, Edward III paid the ransom and bailed him out of the jail. The next period is known as the Italian influence. During this period, Chaucer served as the controller of customs, and he was also sent for diplomatic mission to France, Spain and Italy. In this period, he married Philippa Roet, who was the daughter of Sir Giles the Roet, and this marriage conventionally helped Chaucer to gain his position in the English court. The second period of 15 years covers Chaucer's active life as a diplomat and man of affairs, and in this the Italian influence seems stronger than the French influence. The next period is known as the English period. This third period of 15 years, which is generally known as the English period, is the time of Chaucer's richest development. He lives at home, observes life closely and kindly, and while the French influence is still strong, as is shown in the Canterbury Tales, he seems to grow more independent of foreign models and is dominated chiefly by the vigorous life of his own English people. So, obviously I could not discuss everything about the life of Chaucer. Here I have given you the brief outline of the life of Chaucer. In the next part, I will talk about the works by Chaucer, the important works by Chaucer. You should know these prominent works. That is why I am making these videos. So wait for part 2. In that I will talk about the important works by Chaucer, and uh, if you like this video, just like, share and subscribe to the channel. If you need ready notes for IGNOU term and examination, just WhatsApp me in this number 7501298229. You can follow my page on Facebook. The link will be given in the description box. Please give your valuable remarks in the comment section, so that I can make better videos, and I hope this video was helpful for you. Please let me know if this video helped you a lot, and remember, by following my videos, by collecting this information, you are not just preparing for IGNOU term and examination, you are preparing for UGC NET examination or any other examination regarding that particular topic I am teaching you. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.